pleasure to be back after we've had, I think it's been a break week. It's been 2 weeks since the last time we've been here ready for Tier 1. And well, I certainly cannot wait. It's the Italian Grand Prix. It's fast, it's flowing, it's absolutely stunning. And well, we've got a good 16 drivers on the grid tonight. Not quite a full grid, but it's the best we can get, and it's still going to be full of competition, full of exhilarating action, I'm sure. Just look at what we've got on the field. We've got Ghost, we've got Bluey, we've got Scott, we've got Rick, we've got Jackalacco, Kiernan, Koru, Aces, MX, James, LB, and Wumax. Big title contenders. All of them are. Really, it's an incredibly close championship. If I just pull up this the standings quickly, it's just the insane. I don't even know what the word is. I'm lost. How am I French speaking today? I can't actually speak English, let alone French. The standings, yes, that's what I was looking for. So, Davila leads the way for the first time in his APPF1 career. Still retains that lead from after Silverstone, though this time just 1 point to Rick. MX, the reigning champion, in third with 44 points. Speed Alcoholic rounds off the top 4, 43. Jackalacco tied in fifth with 43. Then the two Mercedes of Aces and Kiernan round off the top 7 with 42 and 40 respectively. That means only 7 points, 7 positions, ladies and gents, separate first to 7th in the standings, and even then Wumax only 1 point behind Ghost, a further 2 behind that, and Bluey a 2 behind that. So 12 points, 12 positions in a single race. Well, 11 if someone gets the fastest lap, separate the top 10 in the top tier of APPF1 racing. That is just unsatiable. That is incredible. It's the closest championship we've had in a while, and trust me, we've had very close championships all throughout APPF1's well, I say it's been just over a year now. It's actually coming up to a year since I've been here, part of the community. Aston Martin, though, 7 points they lead the constructors by. They have already won a constructors title before. They're going to go for their second. Ferrari as well, 2-time constructors champion. They're in second place. Mercedes round off the top 3. So as I say, incredibly close indeed, and I certainly cannot wait to get ourselves underway and racing for 27 laps, and of course the short qualifying session that we have for the Italian Grand Prix. And I certainly hope that everyone at home enjoys it just as much as I will, because well, Monza is always a stellar venue to race at. Stellar Grand Prix as always. And I'm sure we're not going to be disappointed, because we never are. Monza always delivers. It's something about it, something about the track. It might just be the speed, the corners, the history of the circuit. Just, you always get a lovely feeling coming to Monza. And there's, yeah, 25 seconds until we get ourselves underway and race, and that's when I'll say a massive hello and welcome to everyone at home. Those of you that do decide to watch, of course, do make sure to share around the stream, like, comment, whatever it might be. Every little helps, as they say at Tesco. And with 8 seconds left to go, I will say hello and a welcome, ladies and gentlemen, as we return for the APPF1 Tier 1 Championship, brought to you, of course, by High Dive Apparel. The midpoint of the season tonight, then, after a cracking race 2 weeks ago in Silverstone. Today we head to another one of the classics of Formula 1. A track known for its speed, its history, its prestige. It is, of course, the Temple of Speed, the Autodromo Nacional de Monza. Heavy braking zones, coupled with the 75% of the track taken at full throttle, need it further introduction. Let's let the track to the talking, shall we? We all know how good it really is. With the championship as close as ever, 7 points separate the top 7. This mid-season showdown is going to be a crucial stepping zone for the final 3. Will it be Davila, Rick or Ghost that reign triumphant today, or will a further contender be in the mix? Answers that will soon be answered. My name is Zach Sweeney and this is APPF1. So sit down, buckle up and get ready for the Italian Grand Prix. 18 minutes of qualifying before we get ourselves in and ready to go. Seems to be clear skies for the time being. How that will progress through, of course, this session and the race is yet to be seen. Maybe we can get some insight from one of the drivers to give us a little bit more info, or we'll just be suspended in anticipation while we wait for maybe some weather to spice it up a little bit. We've seen how good some drivers are in wet conditions. Typically, if you're good in the wet, you're good in the dry, but that doesn't always flip itself on the head. So be prepared for some surprises if it is wet. We never know if it is going to be or not, and if it's dry, it just means they can push flat out for the entirety of the thing. Should be softs and mediums, I would say, fairly comfortably. You can do 12, 13 laps on the softs, and then, of course, a further few on the mediums to the end of the race. Koru in the Red Bull, then the first man out onto the circuit, heading towards the Retfilio chicane. Heavy braking zone, of course, where we've seen a lot of drama in the past. Turn 1 is, well, why it's most infamous. Turn 1, lap 1, definitely. You've got to watch out for the Retfilio chicane. Then you come through Curve Grande. There's a long right-hander where you're flat out in excess of probably 190 miles an hour, heading towards 2. As you slam on the brakes for the De La Rocha chicane. Down to 3rd or 4th gear, you just want to clip that inside curb, not hit that absolute mountain of a sausage curb on the inside. Towards the first of the 2 Lesmos. Of course, Corey's not going to push it flat out. You just want to clip the inside, let the car roll through. Use the slight bit of banking you can see there through Lesmo 2 to get the car turning, and then down this back straight towards the Ascari chicane underneath the old banking. And then you rise up towards the crest. Not much of an elevation change, but certainly noticeable when you're on board through the Ascari chicane. And that is definitely one of the ways that the Ascari chicane can spit you out. That is going to be a big, hefty bit of wing damage, I would say. Rear wing damage for the Red Bull. As he just sailed this car backwards and just went absolutely... He just took off from the side of that Red Bull. So not, of course, the most optimal start for Corey. But as I was saying, the Ascari chicane, named after Ferrari's first ever world champion, Alberto Ascari. Is Corey going to go for another lap? Has he got damage? That is probably going to be the deciding factor whether he's not. He has got damage. He is going for one. So we'll talk it through then on board with Corey, a very quick driver. Only a one-time race winner in APPF1. DRS Open then. 206, 7, 8 miles an hour as you head down towards the Retfilio chicane, looking for that 100 board, down the gears, braking in a straight line, second gear, clip the first apex, get it turned in for the second, keep the car stable, and you can just see him there trying to get that throttle down as quickly as possible, keep it to the right, and just keep it nice and snug through Curva Grande, keep it nice and close to that inside, hug it like your favourite grandma, and then keep it to the right for the De La Rocha chicane, look for the 100 board, brake in a straight line, down to third gear, first curb. Try not to ride that second curb as much, but it seemed to work for Koru towards the first of the 2 Lesmos. Chuck it through, down a couple of gears, just absolutely send the car in. But that is a big snap of oversteer from the Red Bull, who just about managed to save a great car control from the Brit. As he now heads down the old back straight underneath the banking. For Corey, not going to be the perfect lap by any stretch of the imagination. We'll go on board with Speed Alcoholic, then the other Red Bull. Again, another incredibly quick driver, knows his way around a circuit, knows his way around tyre strategy as well. I'll always bring it up when I talk about Speed Alcoholic. He somehow treats those tyres as if they've just never ever been driven on, even though they've done 20 laps. Or something stupid like that. 27-0 to the first sector, and Purple beating his teammate despite being on those yellow walled medium tyres. Should be around about 6 or so tenths slower. 24.187 for Corey then. He's going to want to improve that by a good couple of seconds. You can see Kiernan, the absolute dominant force, going P1, a 20.539. The reigning champion MX goes into P2, a 129.53. But what can Speed Alcoholic do? Where can he settle himself in? 54.6 to middle sector. Not quite sure how that compares to the likes of Kiernan and MX, but it looks fairly good. Jack Galacco, man, P5 in the championship as it stands. Currently goes P3 of 4 to set a time, 22.001. As MX gets a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking. What's going on there? Some shenanigans maybe. I think it was the Mercedes behind him. Not quite sure as to why he got a 5-place grid penalty there. That is very strange indeed. Across the line for Speed Alcoholic then goes P4, just ahead of his teammate and just shy of Jack Galacco, about a tenth and a half off him as it stands. The other Mercedes of Aces versus Kings, a driver who is practicing elite assists as it stands and isn't particularly at his optimal level as of yet. But look at Emiliano, absolutely going for it. A driver that we don't, as of recently, not seen, as he gives his teammate a bit of a turn. Nice helping hand to Moxie Peretz as he then goes over the double sausage gap. Great way to take the corner, but he's gone P5 half a tenth off the man P2 in the championship. That is Rick, the Dutchman, the Flying Dutchman in the Ferrari, looking to put on a show for the home crowd in red for the Scuderia. In front of the Tifosi as he cuts the De La Rocha just to let people through. Nice chivalry shown from the Dutchman. He just doesn't want to get in people's way, I would assume. Ghost as well, Ghost P2, he's not far off Kiernan, as you can see there. Around about 31 thousandths of a second. That is not a lot by any stretch of the imagination. And the top 5 separated by just over a second, which is quite a lot, but we've still got quite a few people to settle in for their lap times. The likes of Wumax, Bluey, Zuba, James McCrow, who puts himself P8, and LB, who's managed to bury himself in a similar situation to Corey. As I think he might have gotten Ghost away a little bit there. I'm not quite sure if Ghost was on a flying lap or what. But it certainly wouldn't have helped him. I think his car was ghosted, so we thought it was okay, but still not the best thing to be doing. Monty Peretz then into P10, 23.467 for the Haas driver. Second slowest of those to set a time so far in this qualifying session. Kiernan leads the way then from Ghost and MX. That rounds off the top 3. 4/10 separate our top 3. Not a lot in it around such a short and very, very fast flowing circuit through the Alberta Curve for Scott. He has of course invalidated his lap time, so can't set a competitive lap at all. Tier goes into P8, a 22.116 for him. As it stands, he's on the medium tyres though, so going long in his first qualifying stint, just getting himself acclimatised to the circuit. That is a very wide Haas. Was that Emiliano in the background? I'm not entirely sure. No, it wasn't. I think it was the Aston Martin. One of them went slightly wide, just got it all sorts of wrong. MX unfortunately not, mate. Oh, that is a big spin from Emiliano into the barrier. Very easy mistake to do. He's going to suffer a bit of wing damage. Gets himself going again though, and luckily managing to get himself going, and no tyre loss for the time being. Yeah, a couple of hefty crashes for him, unfortunately. Welcome into everyone watching at home. It's a pleasure to have you. Hope you do enjoy it as much as I do. This is round number 4 of the APPF1 at Tier 1 Season 3 Championship. Brought to you by Apparel. Some great clothing over there. MX with a 5-place group penalty, complaining about how he cannot get it removed. Unfortunately, that's how things go sometimes. Racing is a harsh world. As Lance Stroll very famously said, you love the sport, it just doesn't love you back. Tier round the final corner of Alberto into the pit lane though. Monza is just such a great circuit. Not much in the way of action going on, no. Protagonist setting up. In fact, let's have a look at Scott as he peels his way into the pit lane. So no, he's not going to be giving us any action. Of course he's not. It's Scott. MX probably the one to look out for. He's pretty damn quick around Monza. Of course, there's not much in the way of corners. A lot of it is straight, but more of a reason to be quicker through the corners because there's not much in the way of opportunity in order to gain that time. Only, I believe, wow. I think there's 11 corners around Monza, which compared to the likes of Spa and Singapore, which are in the 20s, not many. It's a very short, it's a very fast lap as well, as you can see in this. You'll always hear a commentator waffle about Monza. The tow is probably going to be quite important, could in fact be the deciding factor. In fact, let's go to Ghost. He's in the AlphaTauri. He currently has some redemption to do. Denmark. Johnson, welcome in, man. Pleasure to have you. But yeah, Ghost, he's trying to redeem himself. I think he had a retirement early on in the season and really struggled to get the ball rolling, and because of the tighter point system, it's very difficult for drivers to make up for it. But if anyone can, Ghost can. He is currently, I believe, P9 or P7 in the championship or something along those lines. He's not actually that far off the lead of the championship. Corey then goes into P3, just tipping the reigning champion with a 20.828 LB as well in the Aston Martin, getting himself ahead of the Flying Dutchman with a 21.322. This is Ghost. Soon to start his lap. He's got his teammate just in front of him. Maybe going to give him a nice cheeky bit of a slipstream. Maybe not. As Zuba pulls out of the way. We go setting up a lap then. The exit of the Alberta Curve is probably one of the most crucial on the circuit. You've got to use all the track on the outside, then bring it tight to the inside. Shortest distance to the line, not going to quite matter for Ghost this time around because he's starting his lap, not finishing it. A bit of a confuffle further up. Tier pulling his way out of the pit lane in a couple of cars. Looking for that 100 board on the left-hand side though. Bit of a lock-up, double front on those soft tyres for Ghost. Gets it through the second apex relatively well. Bit of hesitation in terms of the steering wheel. Sort of turned and then went for the throttle. But hey, it still looks to be a relatively tidy lap through Curva Grande and keeping it to the right-hand side. What's it going to be? It's a little bit slower to the first sector. Still got 2 more to go if he wants to improve. Second gear, bit of a lock-up again. It just makes the revs drop out of sync a little bit. And he sort of loses his rhythm a little bit, but still managing to get his way through the Lesmo 1. Corey goes quick. It's the 20.324. Nice stuff from the Red Bull driver, looking to make a statement after his first win in the Sprint Silverstone race. A long time coming it certainly was. Can he go for pole position today in Monza? Ghost 1.5 tenths quicker to the middle sector. Could be a good lap. He just needs to hook up Ascari and Alboreto in order to see himself back on the front row. The Season 4 Sprint champion looking to come over to the Tier 1 and reign victorious for the first time through the Alberta Curve. Look for that white line on the track just before the 50 board, down to 5th gear, and then slam that throttle on as soon as you get past the apex. It really does increase in radius as you come across the line. What's it going to be? It's a 20.534, 5 1,000ths of a second separate Ghost and Kiernan 2, probably of the favourite drivers to take this championship. In fact, I've just realised Davila isn't here. I mentioned him in the intro. Of course he's not going to be Davila because he's not racing, which is such a shame because he's leading the championship and it's going to be hard for him to recover from it. Koru is going to be fairly comfortable with that lap time. 6 minutes left to go then. A third of this session left. Rumax into P7, fairly comfortable for him. 21.4. 4 tenths would see him on to the third row of the grid, just in front of Jack Lacco, who is again trying to impress for Ferrari. His teammate Rick heading out for his second run, currently on a 4.98 in the 121s. Can he improve that position? Less than half a tenth will see him up into 7th. Just over a tenth will see him into 6th. And a couple more tenths will see him into 5th. Not a big jump at all. You just need to get into a rhythm, hook up the lap. 212 miles an hour as he slams on the anchors. Bit of a lock-up, but manages to get the car turned in pretty damn well. And, well, you can't hear the Tifosi roar, but I'm sure they would be if you could. Through Curva Grande, again, keeping it to the right-hand side, as I say. Jumping up towards 200 miles an hour, despite it not being the longest straight in the world. Third gear, second gear, just to get that little bit of extra rotation. Short shift on the exit, just to get that car to bite, get the rear wheels in check. And towards the 2 Lesmos, absolutely chuck it in. Full commitment from the Dutchman. Look for that 50 board, use the banking on the inside to turn the car. MX goes P4, Jack Lacco 5th, LB 6th. A couple of changes around at the front, dip down under the old banking. Up towards Ascari. Is it an improvement? It is. It's 8 tenths for Rick to the middle sector. He is on an absolute mission on this lap. Can he hook it up? A bit of a time loss through the Ascari chicane. That wasn't tidy. Maybe the Delta got to his head, but still is going to be an incredible lap time. Probably could see him inside the top 4 with only a few minutes left to go. The Ferrari at the home Grand Prix here in Italy. Here at Monza, can he qualify well? Can he get himself towards the front of the grid? It was 8 tenths through sector 2. Across the line is P5. Lost a couple of attempts in that final sector. That would have been all in Ascari, but it's still P5 and 6. A third row lockout for the prancing horse. And not much separating them at all. 2 100ths of a second in it between the 2 Ferraris. And they can still both improve. 4 minutes and 20 seconds left of this qualifying session here then. Tier looking to improve. Motzi Perez becomes our first retirement of the day. Bluey, can he improve on his time? Currently P14, 22.252. That's a lot of 2s in his lap time. Scott also in the other McLaren. Not the quickest line around the Scari. I personally wouldn't recommend that, but hey, each to their own. We never know. He might know something we don't. He's won a sprint championship. He's won one more sprint championship than I have. So I'll give him that. Is he going to be setting up a lap time? Trying to improve? He's on the mediums, or is he coming into the pit lane? Indeed, he is. In he comes. MX on an outlap, looking to improve upon his times. Remember, he's got that 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking earlier on in the session. Whether that was his fault or not is one later to be disputed. But we can't have that penalty changed, unfortunately, because there's no way to overchange it in qualifying apart from the full restart, which just is absolute effort. But yeah, pretty tidy for the first couple of corners for MX. Again, a driver looking to seal his second Tier 1 championship in a row. Won it for the first time last season after a very close duel with Ghost and Aces, both of which had absolute incredible, impeccable form to the end of last season and absolutely chased him down, but he managed to hold on in that final race at USA. Can he do something similar? He's currently third in the championship, a few points off the championship lead, and with Davler not here, as long as he scores points, he probably will get himself at least into second place. Half a tenth up to the middle sector, not enough to see him improve his position to third. Corey Go and Kiernan both on a lap, with the Alfa Romeo to the left hand side, down in towards the Alberta Curve. Look for that black box just before, just after, and you slam on the anchors. Not down many gears, he actually really prolongs the downshift. You can see he turns in 7th gear, then downshifts. Pretty unorthodox, but across the line for him. Where's he going to put him? And it's still P4, 29.35 for the German Canadian. Guru and Kiernan and Ghost now also heading out on an outlap. Is anyone going to improve? Ghost sort of caught out, I'd say maybe held up Emiliano. Emiliano's on an outlap anyway. It's all good. MX unfortunately unable to improve his time. Kiernan and Corey both starting their lap. We'll go on board with a provisional pole sitter then of Corey. 2/10. He stands on top, but it's never secure. You can never get complacent in motorsport, and he's going to be trying his absolute best to improve this time. DRS open as he looks to slam on the anchors down into second gear. Trail brake in, absolutely perfect for the Red Bull. Oh no, that's certainly less than perfect. His final lap has ended in a bit of a spin. That could be absolutely detrimental for him. He's then binned it in the gravel, taken a trip to Barrier, sticks it into reverse gear, and while that could have cost him pole position, he hasn't got the time to go around again in order to set another lap time, and if he does, he's going to absolutely wear those tyres out in doing so. So it's Ghost and it's Kiernan's all to play for. The top three separated by absolutely nothing when you think about it. This final run going to be ever crucial. Then Corey absolutely bottled that. He's going to hope that Kiernan doesn't find himself improving on this lap. Double front lockup from the Mercedes into turn 1 and 2. Keeping it tight to the right hand side, as we always say for Curva Grande. Minimise the steering input, minimise that distance travelled, and you'll maximise your lap time. Again, bring it to the right hand side, slam on the anchors at 100 metres. Purple to the first sector, 1/1000th up on his previous best. He's still got 2 more to improve. He's going to need to improve by a couple of attempts. Absolutely send it, nothing to lose. MX isn't on a lap. He's not going to, probably not going to overtake you. Same with Rick, just absolutely go for it, Kieran. And he's gone for it a little bit too much, and invalidation through the first Lesmo leaves it all eyes on Ghost for this pole position. Half a tenth up to the first sector. He's got 2 more to go. Can he hook it up? James will crow into P5 at 20.896, matches MX's time to the nearest millisecond. Incredible. Of course, MX will get that with the with him setting his time first, but James will get the position after MX's penalty. Rick slightly slower to the first sector on his previous best, but remember, it was all in that final sector where he lost the time. Let's check in with Ghost as he comes towards the Ascari chicane. Is it an improvement? No, he's invalidated his time, so Corey might, by the skin of his teeth, seal this pole position. Rick getting it all sorts of screwy outside of Lesmo 2, and once again might be an anticlimactic end at 2 qualifying. Bit of a confuffle further up. Has Rick still improved? No, he hasn't, but still all or nothing through this final sector. See if he can just promote himself 1, maybe 2 places. Bit squirrely. He's going to get the tow from his teammate all the way down this straight. Jackalacco absolutely playing the team game to perfection as they all move out of the way. Then he darts out of the way, final second. Great teamwork from the Prancing horses. The Tifosi are going to love that. 5th gear on the exit, open it up. Is he going to take it to the line? Is it going to be an improvement? Speed Alcoholic goes 4th at 20.7. Can Rick improve? He goes 5th. Incredible lap from the Dutchman, and that seals him on to the 3rd row, ahead of MX and ahead of his teammate. P5 for the Prancing horse at the Italian Grand Prix, not far off those in front of him. That tow going to go a long way. And well, 27 laps, P6 at the end of it, because James Crow puts in another absolute stellar lap time to put himself ahead of Ghost and just behind Koru. Incredible effort from the Alpine. How he managed to pull that one out of the bag, I do not know. And a 20.489 seals him the front row of the grid, but it is Koru who I believe takes his maiden pole position here for APPF1. I'm not entirely sure. But to the best of my knowledge, I've never seen him on pole position in qualifying. So it's going to be a new experience for him. He knows he's up there, he knows he deserves it. Can he hang on to it? That is another story, one we'll find out very, very shortly. I certainly cannot wait to get this show on the road. After 18 minutes of qualifying, it was Corey in the Red Bull, a 1:20.324. James McCrow rounds off the front row with Ghost and Kiernan, two titled protagonists in 3 and 4. Speed Alcoholic rounds off the top 5 with a Flying Dutchman for Ferrari at the home Grand Prix in 6th. MX in P7 with that 5-post grid penalty. We will see him in P12. Jack Alacco qualifies P8 with Tyrrell LB rounding off 9th and 10th. Womax P11, he's going to be the first of the free tyre choice runners. Emiliano P12, good result for him. He's going to want to move forward in the race. However, Aces in P13, Zuba in 14th with Blue rounding off 15th. Mozzi Prodetz and Scott round off the grid 16th and 17th. They're going to round off the grid today for the Italian Grand Prix. Don't go anywhere. Get your tea, get your popcorn, get whatever it might be. Get your donuts, whatever. I do not care, as long as you're here, sat in your seat, stood up, if it's that exciting for the Italian Grand Prix. I'm going to be Zach Sweeney. I'm going to be talking you through the race. 27 laps of action, half race distance. It's going to be one to remember, as it always is here at Monza. Who's going to lead the championship coming out of this round? We never ever know because of how close it really is. Is it wet? No, it seems to be clear skies for the Italian Grand Prix. I do apologise, that is me opening my bottle of lemonade. Because commentary does take its toll on the throat. I don't particularly fancy doing any vocal warm-ups either. Because, well, I'm not going to be starting going do re mi on the stream. That's not what it's about, but I could sing Rick's national anthem if you would like me to play it. If he does win in celebration of the Prancing Horse victory, I think it's only fair if we play Rick's national anthem. Both the Dutch and the other one, he knows what I'm talking about if he's watching the stream. Of course he's watching the stream, he loves watching the streams. 27 laps then, we're going for the formation lap. And it's going to be Corey leading us around. Of course he managed to get himself on pole position for today's race. James McCrow will be in second. He's going to try and get a good start. Not the longest run towards turn 1, but it's a very tight one once you get there. Are we going to see anyone go to the runoff? Are we going to see any contact? Hopefully not, because these guys keep it really clean. We've got a new addition of Taylor Hammers to the back of the grid in the Aston Martin. Pretty much a full grid then. 18 drivers, 27 laps, and 1 Italian Grand Prix victory is what they're going to be trying to go for. Who's going to come out on top? We know how good Ghost is in the race. Let's have a quick look at how the tyres stack up then for those outside the top 10. Womax on the fresh mediums. Of course, he qualified P11. Got the free tyre choice. Emiliano in P11 as well. So pretty much unanimous for the outside the top 10. The only ones not doing so was Mozzi Prodetz there in P16, because MX technically qualified inside the top 10. But unfortunately got set back because of the 5+ grid penalty that saw him down into P12, unfortunately for him. Going to be a bit of a blow towards both his confidence, his mentality. He's going to be a little bit more desperate, going for some moves that he might not, should have, perhaps, maybe. We never know, and we'll soon find out in a couple of corners time when we line up on the grid for the Italian Grand Prix, as I always say. Is going to be a spectacle. Rick and Speed may have made a bit of contact on the formation up, and they're both disqualified from the session. 5th and 6th going to be rounding off and be at the grid already. Their tyres are going to be basically feeling as though they've been in a fridge for the last 30 seconds. They're going to be freezing. They're going to get a poor run. And for Rick, could leave him susceptible for his teammate. Hopefully the two Ferraris are going to be a little bit more sensible and think their way through things a little bit better. But hey, we never know. We've seen crazier things happen here at Monza. Just look to the pre-season race where we had 4 people of the 15 finish. It was an absolutely chaotic race. Hopefully a few more people finish here today. As we line up on the grid then, Corey on pole, his first qualifying pole position. The other one was the reverse grid sprint for Silverstone. He's lining up. Him on pole, his teammate 5th. But today is all about the Ferraris. Can Rick get himself on the top step of the podium? Can he try and get one hand on that championship trophy? He's in second. Davla's not racing. It's his best chance to do so. They're all lining up on the grid, waiting for Taylor Hammers at the back. And then we'll go to 5 red lights ahead of the Italian Grand Prix. Here in Monza. Buckle up, folks. I hope you're sat down. I hope you're ready. I'm stood up. It's going to be an absolutely chaotic run down towards turn 1. Waiting for the green flag at the back of the grid. Here we go then. They're lining up. The cars are fired up. 5 red lights illuminating your screen. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights to the Italian Grand Prix. Cora on pole, they're revving up. We've been held for absolutely ages, but we are finally underway in race, and James Crow gets an absolutely stellar start from second on the grid. You can see Cora having to dart to the right hand side to try and cover him off, but the Alpine already there and alongside. Ghost running alongside with Keenan as they go 2 by 2 towards turn 1. Cora around the outside, the Alpine trying to keep him there, but Cora goes in too deep over the sausage curb. James Crow says thank you very much underneath them, and Keenan as well going to look to get involved. Ghost has done an absolutely shocker of a start. Corey down to third. Kiernan gets ahead of him, and Corey's going to be trying to give him a fight all the way down towards the De La Roja, tucking into the slipstream. Kiernan defends. There's no space to the right hand side or the left. Kiernan parks that perfectly, and Corey from pole down to P3. Tira stellar start up to 4th. MX into 5th place as Ghost is running side by side with the Ferrari in towards the first of the 2 Lesmos. The Ferrari going to try it around the outside, not quite going to be doing it, and the AlphaTauri bullies him off the road and says no you don't. I've had a bad start as it is. I do not need a Ferrari getting alongside. Further back we see Rick has gone down to 13th on the grid, and is not having the best day at all for him, and the 2 Ferraris definitely going backwards off the start. They've still got a while to do so, and that probably is a tribute to the cold tyres that Speed and Rick had to face off the start. Then just get swatted up. You're having to concede to absolutely everyone, which is certainly not the best way to go about things. James Crow leads them from Kiernan in second, Corey third. Tier and MX round off the top 5 after 1 lap of 27. This should get very spicy once the DRS starts to kick in. Womax going side by side with the Ferrari of Rick, who's trying to redeem himself. He's now going for the move on Aces, looking to the left-hand side. Mercedes versus Ferrari as they dart down the pit straight towards the Rettifilio chicane for the second time. James and Kiernan very close. You can see the Williams of Womax once again trying to get involved, but Rick going to go for 2 and 2, maybe. He's gone 3 cars in 3 corners up into P9 side by side with LB through the Rettifilio chicane. LB gets the better drive off the corner, but a fantastic effort from the Ferrari as he's now going to dart very late to the left-hand side, nearly into the back of LB, down in towards the De La Rocha chicane, using his ERS. The Aston Martin tries to cover him off, but here comes Rig back down the inside. That's another position ticked off for him on his recovery drive back to the front. Yellow flags through the first sector. I think Womax has gone for a spin, but we cut our eyes and cut our attention to the top 3 because they are nose to tail as they go down towards the old banking. It's James that leads from Kiernan in towards this Irish chicane. Not quite an opportunistic move for Kiernan on this occasion, though Corey lurking in the distance. Kiernan getting all sorts of squirrely through the Ascari chicane, trying to push that much harder than James to keep him honest. 4 tenths separate, 6 tenths separate the entirety of the top 3. This is Ghost going side by side with MX. Pretty plain sailor move as he tries to charge his way back towards the front. DRS will be enabled on this lap. They won't get to use it until the run towards the Ascari chicane. Will it matter for Kiernan because he's tucked up in the slipstream, sets the fastest lap of the race. Ghost then goes a slightly bit quicker, using his ERS, using that slipstream, tucked up in the Alpine to the right hand side. Is he going to send it? Looks, but doesn't quite go for it. Koru says, whoa, that was going to be a good one if he went for it. James Ricco, though, getting it all sorts of wrong, goes over the sausage curb through turn 2. That's going to say let Kiernan through, and maybe Koru as well. They're going to run side by side through Curve Grande, the Red Bull, trying to redeem himself from that poor start from pole, and James down to third. Kiernan up into the lead of this race. Great stuff from all 3 drivers. They are still as close as ever with DRS enabled this lap as well. Do not count anyone out of this fight. That little bit of a confuffle as well has allowed Ghost and MX and Jackalacco all to be in the DRS range for this fight. We cut our attention down because Emiliano's going around the outside of Aces versus Kings. They go side by side, maybe even 3 abreast in towards Lesmo 2. Aces sends it back down the inside. Motti Peretz tries to get the switch back on his teammate, who gets it sort of squirrely. He has to then back out, slam on the brakes a little bit. We cut our attention back to the front because here's Ghost. He's arrived on the scene. 4 cars fighting for the race lead. 7 tenths separate Koru and Kiernan, the 2 RRL boys. Come over to APPF1 to try and test their metal. They are at the moment 1 and 2 both of them in championship contention, maybe. Emiliano running side by side with Aces down towards the Alberta Curve. This is the fight for P10. Aces looking up the inside. These two really can't get enough of each other. Kiernan once again sets the fast lap of the race. The hassle around the outside, tried it. That's only going to invite his teammate back down with DRS. We then quickly have to cut our attention back to the front. Not much happening, just sort of stagnated. So we then can flip back. They're going to be 3 abreast. Maybe the 2 Haas cars going to try and sandwich the Mercedes. Emiliano looking in the background, going to go for the move to the inside, locks up, bit of contact. The Alpine of Tier going to go around the outside of one of them, gets the drive off the corner. Emiliano can't respond to that. LB lurking in the background, practically pushing, and we go to the front because Ghost is making a move on James down the inside of the De La Roja and back onto the podium for Ghost. James from 1st to 4th in a lap's time. Not the best for the Alpine. He's going to try and recover as best he can, but look at the time they've lost to the top 2. 1.5 seconds. They've got their work cut out for them if they want to go for it. Is it wise for James to just say, Ghost, you've gotten through, you're quicker at this stage, we need to work together, we need to stay in that DRS range. It's so crucial, it's so vital for both of our races that we push and get ourselves back in. Once you're in, we can then start having maybe a bit of a squabble, maybe we can save some ERS, whatever it might be. Aces getting overtaken once again from Perez, but he goes off the track at Ascari, rejoins just in front of Tier. He's been sent off indeed. He has a huge crash for the Haas as he then gets immediately sent off into the gravel trap. Is it going to be a safety car? Surely it's got to be. No full course yellow as of yet. Kiernan once again setting the fastest lap, a 23 dead for the Mercedes, who's on an absolute mission. Once he got in front, he never looks back. Here's James McCrow on the back of Ghost. Is he going to send it to the inside? Doesn't quite go for it though. Emiliano on the back of Tier. His teammates just sent and gone for a trip into the wall. Ace is absolutely swallowed up there like a sitting duck though. Sends it to the inside. Emiliano taps the back of the Alpine, damages his front wing. Bit of carbon fibre going off. There's James McCrow running side by side with Ghost. Deja Vu on the outside for the Alpine in towards the De La Roja. Ghost on the inside, settles in front, claims the corner, though James is going to try and go for the double switcheroo. Doesn't quite pay off, but a valiant effort indeed. And the more they squabble, the more they fight, the more time they lose to the cars in front. Jack Galacco up into P6 for the Ferrari team. Rick up into P8. He's had a bit of a quiet drive. He didn't have the best of starts, though he's back up and he's fighting for redemption. 6th and 8th for the 2 Ferrari guys as Jack Galacco loses the place straight away to Speed Alcoholic. Bit of a mistake from Kieran has allowed Corey to close his way back in to DRS range. Jack Galacco once again on the back of Speed Alcoholic. The fight for P6. Ferrari versus Red Bull. Defensive goes Speed. To the left goes Jack Galacco. It's the long way round of the Alberta Curve. Pretty much the favoured line if you can keep that momentum up. Down to 5th gear. They are going to run side by side. The Red Bull keeping it nice and tight to the inside, giving him a different, well, literally about 4 car lengths worth of room on the outside there. They're going to run side by side down the pit straight. Look at that, absolutely incredible. A safety car though is in effect because Emiliano, the other Haas car this time, is out of the session. And is this going to trigger any premature pit stops? We'll have to find out. Tier and LB, no hesitation for the 2. Of course, Tier with the front wing change, I believe, maybe not. Actually, he's just pinning his way in for a mandatory pit stop, I believe. Someone had to come in for a front wing change. Is this going to prompt anyone to come in? Is Kiernan going to come in? Any one of the top 5 going to come in? Or are they going to play it safe? Hards to the end, maybe. Mediums, nurse them to the end, maybe. We'll have to find out what these guys try and do. Speed, would not be surprised. If he could, he'd probably go for another set of softs and go to the end of the race. I would not be surprised. I would not put it past him whatsoever. But the 2 Haas cars become our first 2 retirements for today's race. And we'll turn our attention to the front. Is Kiernan going to come in? He's led pretty much the majority of the race so far. Only been 6 laps. It's been a hectic 6 laps, of course. Cheers, one wing. Yeah, James ain't doing too bad for a Tier 2 driver at all. Is Kiernan coming in? Does so indeed. Is Corey going to follow him? I think it was pretty much do whatever he does. Ghost also in. James McCrow follows him. MX in. Is going to be, well, as the French would say, an embouteillage in the pit lane. Big traffic jam. Rick, is he coming in? Indeed he does. It's going to be a double stack for Ferrari. Bit of salt in the wound. They've pretty much stabbed Rick and twisted the knife while inside. Actually, might not be too bad. No, it's going to be absolutely horrible. Horrendous. Horrendous. Actually, could be worse. Could be worse. Probably only lost a good 4 seconds. 3, maybe. No more than a position for Rick. So, yeah, the pit stop. The double stack loss sort of balances out with the gain. But, interestingly enough, the top two, Kiernan and Corey, going for the medium tyre. Ghost and James going for the hard. Split strategies in the top 4 then. MX has gone for the mediums. Is this a 2-stop? Is this a 2-stop? I do not know. Can they nurse them to the end? The longer this safety car stays out, the less time they have to save their tyres, which is always going to be favourable. You going to let anyone else win an elite or not? Hey, I started at the back last week, and I won the race. I like overtaking. I like coming my way through the field, even if I'm not quite on pace. Don't expect to win. I just like overtaking. It's fun. I like having the battles. It's not my problem. I've won 3 in 3. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Of course, if you are interested in seeing me make an absolute embarrassment of myself, as I quite often do, definitely come in and check out. Go watch One Wing. Again, he's a commentator. He does his thing. He always respect him for putting their name out there, and you're always susceptible for judgment on when you put your name out there and you commentate on people's things. Heck, I got it quite a lot when I first started. But hey, you just got to keep going at it, and big respect for anyone that does do it. So yeah, One Wing, definitely go check him out. He does the F1 Elites and other championships over on his channel, similar to what I'm doing right now in terms of the commentary booth. And while I was talking about that, Bluey and Taylor Hammers P10 and 11 as it stands. Both of them 5-second penalties for severe collisions. Cheers, One Wing. Appreciate it, man. Should be only 1 or 2 laps, I think, most under the safety car. Probably next lap will be coming in. We're just waiting for Zuba at the back of the grid, and then we'll get ourselves going once more. Corey in P2, he's going to be able to bunch right up to the back of Kiernan, who's going to then have the control over over the safety car restart. Confusion maybe, as people are going fairly slowly. This is Corey going alongside. He's practicing. He's teasing Kiernan, going up the inside of turn 1, saying, "Hey, you're not careful. This is what I'm going to be doing to you." When that green flag drops, and we go racing once again onto lap 9 or 10, one of the two. Probably going to be lap 9, I would say. But yeah, for Corey, he's teasing. He's playing the mental game, as Red Bull like to do. Red Bull versus Mercedes in the top 2. That's what we've come used to, and it's Monza. Who knows? Who knows? It's just after the pit stops as well, and it's the Mercedes in front. It's not picture perfect, but it is similar situation to what happened in 2021. So we'll have to find out. We'll see. We'll see if Corey sends it on his old RRL friend, acquaintance, whatever it might be. They're not going to be friends in this. They're going to be rivals fighting it out for race wins, championships, podiums, whatever it might be. Hopefully they've got a long stay here in APPF1, because they're both great assets. They're both great races. They give us incredible action. Hopefully that's not going to be any different today for the remainder of this race. 1/3 through as we approach lap 9 of 27. 2/3 left of this race to go. Hopefully it's going to be an absolute thriller, as it so far has been, and it always is around Monza. Thanks for those who are watching. As I always say, do make sure to share the stream around if you are free, if any one of your friends are free. If they're new to Formula 1 and need a platform to try and progress their way into the sport, this is probably one of the best ones you'll ever get, because of the closeness and the competitiveness of this field. It really does highlight why we love this sport. Safety car in this lap then. Brad Mylander in the Mercedes AMG. He's going to shoot off ahead as Kiernan controls the pace. 70 miles an hour he's going for, weaving left to right, like a little slithery snake down this back straight, trying to get that temperature into those tyres. The more temperature, the more grip. That's going to optimise his start. It's a long run down towards turn 1 from the line. He controls the pace, he can't punch it and then go again. He's got between now and this, the timing line in order to go for it. He just does not want Corey to be slipstreaming him all the way down towards turn 1. Out of the Alberta Curve, and away we go. Corey getting it all sorts of wrong, plummeting down the order, down a few places already as we go green. James McCrow going side by side with Ghost, having to tuck in behind Kiernan Lees though. Corey going to be absolutely swallowed up. I think going to be 3 abreast, indeed they are. Ghost in the middle. Corey getting swallowed up. He's going to be trying to back out of it. The Alpine around the outside. Going to go for the switcheroo on both cars. Ghost having to go side by side. They're 3 abreast on the exit of turn 2. Corey, James and Ghost. Ghost backs out. Thinks better of it. Jack Delaco making the most of this hectic start as well. Getting himself up into P5 ahead of the reigning champion. Speed as well. Tucked up in there. James on the back of Corey. They're going to be side by side towards the De La Rocha chicane. The Alpine this time on the inside. Has he got the speed to claim the corner? The Red Bull going to try it around the outside. Jumps over the Susha curb. Goes sideways. But the Alpine on the hard compound tyres gets himself ahead and into second place. 4 seconds lead Kiernan has of a hectic safety car restart. Jack Delaco into P5. He's going to try and make headways towards the podium places. Rick as well, right there in the mix. Goes off onto the gravel a little bit, but so too does Speed Alcoholic. They're going to be 3 abreast. Is that Taylor Hammers from the back of the grid. Now already fighting well within the top 10. Jack Delaco trying to put the pressure on Ghost. MX under pressure, maybe from Rick, who's under pressure from Taylor, who's under pressure from Aces, who's under pressure from Speed, who's going backwards because LB is trying to funnel away through a lot of cars. Not a lot of space for them to fill. And as it stands, Kiernan leads off the safety car restart. James, Corey, Ghost and Jack Delaco, your top 5, with Corey absolutely launching one up the inside of the Alberta Curve. No DRS until 3 laps in on this safety car restart. Corey ahead, but James going to get the slipstream and his ERS all the way down this pit straight. That Red Bull has got some incredible top speed, weaving around left to right, breaking that hole in the air that he's punching for the Red Bull. The Ferrari looking on the AlphaTauri. To the inside goes the Alpine. To the inside goes the Ferrari. Under pressure from MX. He's looking forwards and backwards in this race. Corey managing to stay ahead for the time being on those medium tyres. Can brake later and with more power than the hard tyres behind him. Side by side go Aces and Taylor Hammers through Curva Grande, not giving an inch either of them towards the De La Rocha chicane. Trying to hang on for P8 is Aces. Taylor Hammers having to back out of that one as they all funnel their way through. Aces going in a bit deep though, that could cost him. Rick on the back of MX, he can see his teammate right there and not long in front. He's still within the DRS contention of the podium places. Could we see a double Ferrari podium? That would be an absolute dream for the Tifosi, wouldn't it? Corey 1.2 seconds ahead of James LeCrow. That mistake, we've probably been robbed of a fight for the race win here because Kiernan is absolutely gone. And once he does this, he's gone, and he's gone for good. He is incredibly quick and clean air. Bit of contact between the Mercedes and the Aston Martin, and he's been sent round. Taylor Hammers into the barrier. And that's one of those unfortunate things that happen when you're fighting side by side through one of the fastest parts of this circuit. Bluey making the most and getting past his teammate. Speed getting the most of a compromised Mercedes to the inside of Alboreto. Aces says, no you don't, I'm going this way around. They are going to be side by side on the exit. In fact, Speed is going to get ahead. Aces gives him it to tuck in behind. Going to squeeze his way through the gap on the right hand side as they dart their way down this pit straight. Once again going to have to tuck it in to the slipstream, pull into the right hand side. He's going to be faced with a lot of drag once he does that, but he's got the inside. He can claim the corner. The Red Bull around the outside. Beautiful stuff. This time a little bit more clean than the way the last time a Red Bull went around the outside of a Filio chicane. To the real life F1. Incredibly close stuff. Jack Delaco on the back of Ghost, who's on the back of James McCrow for P3. Intense stuff. Lap 11 of 27. Kiernan leads. Corey second. James third. Ghost fourth. With Jack Delaco rounding off the top 5 for Ferrari. MX P6. Rick P7. Speed Alcoholic P8 with Aces in P9. Bluey then rounds off the top 10. That's how they stand after 11 laps of racing. And 2 laps after the safety car restart. Very close, no action as it stands going on, no overtakes for the time being, but they are incredibly close. They have all got the benefit of that drag reduction system. That extra 20 or so kilometers per hour down the back straight does help, especially around such a quick circuit like Monza. Ghost, speaking of DRS, speaking of positions, speaking of podium positions, 3/10 separate him and the Alpine as they exit the Alberta Curve with DRS. You can see the Alpine already going defensive, trying his best, using his ERS, using that slipstream tucked up nicely, and the DRS closing at a rate of knots on the Alpine towards the right Filio chicane. Look at that closing speed to the right hand side, and onto the podium goes the AlphaTauri. Can he brake late enough? The Alpine brakes later around the outside. Beautiful stuff from James McCrow to hang on to P3, but this squabble in this battle not only is letting Corey get away, but it's also bringing the Ferrari of Jack Delaco in the mix, who's going to be hungry for that Ferrari podium here in Italy. Tucked up in the slipstream once more for the AlphaTauri. Not quite got the run in towards the De La Rocha chicane. No, same story for the Ferrari. MX, the reigning champion, and Rick, all there, the top 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 within a couple of seconds of each other, within a couple of car lengths of each other. This is incredible stuff. Do not miss it. Do not take your eyes away for one moment. I certainly am not. Ghost in the slipstream. not using his ERS, just gonna wait. He knows he can blitz past, he knows he's got that overspeed down the pit straight, so why go for it and then just get overtaken straight back through the Rettifido chicane? No point in it. Taylor Hammers becomes our third retirement of the day. Was a good race for him up until that spin. Here's Rick on the back of MX. Can he go for the move on the Alfa Romeo? He's still going to get DRS regardless of whether or not he goes for it. So you might as well stick behind for the time being. He knows MX is aggressive. He knows that position won't be given up easily. And he knows that's just going to have a knock-on effect and drop him back. Ghost, 6/10 this time. DRS open and slipstream for him. Jackalacco can't close the gap because that AlphaTauri just incredible down this straight. Rick closing that rate of knots on MX, who goes defensive, broken a little bit too late, maybe just about gets it stopped. So yeah, it's pretty much all aboard the Alpine train. Choo-choo as James heads the way for P3. This is all people wanting that podium speed. Also joining the fight, but Aces is out of this session. What's happened to him? He's had a spin off the Rettifido and another safety car is in effect. Tier and Bluey were running side by side up until that point. Now our fourth retirement of the day. Not quite sure what happened to him. A spin? Yeah, it looks like that. Maybe contact. That seems like a weird place to spin for Aces. I'm sure we'll find out in due time. Unfortunately, can't get a replay. I'm not that good, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have a proper broadcast or presenting crew with me, so can't give you that quality of broadcast, but what I can give you is my voice, and hopefully that's good enough. I do try my best. However, 13 of 27 and another safety car. Is this going to prompt those on the hard tyres to go for the mediums, or is it going to prompt those on the mediums to go for another set of mediums that will then more comfortably get them to the end? We'll have to wait and see. If that is the case, James Recrow and Ghost will inherit first and second, and then really spice things up because LP and Bluey will inside the top four if everyone on the mediums decides to pit. Kinnan, is he going to stay out? We'll have a look as the Mercedes heads the way. Stays out. Is Corey going to go in? Stays out. James Recrow's eyeing up a pit stop. He's coming in. Ghost eyeing up a pit stop. He's coming in. Jackalacco. So it seems it's actually roles reversed. It's those on the hards coming in for mediums as opposed to those on the mediums coming in for hards. They're confident they can go to the end on them, which is fair game for those on the mediums, or those on the fresh mediums, perhaps even soft, maybe. With the fuel load and the chassis weight, of course, decreasing with the more and more fuel load, you're probably a good 60 kilos. Well, I say 60, probably a good 20-30 kilos lighter at this stage in the race. So the tyre wear is going to be very much less significant and a lot less noticeable because there's less actual weight on the tyres, less force pushing them into the ground. Two softs for the two McLarens, in fact 3 load of soft tyres for the back 3. They're going to be trying. They've got nothing to lose. Fair play. Going for it. Trying something different. You might as well. What more have you got to lose than P13? 7 points? Or could be the chance for something great if something happens in front. Haha, Ethan. Cheers, man. Best bud send off, mate. I love that. Beautiful stuff. So yeah, we got Koru in second place. He's got redemption at a safety car restart. Kiernan probably going to catch him off guard once again, as Kiernan does. He does like to pull the little mind games here and there. Koru though, he hopefully won't get a massive snap of oversteer and actually challenge Kiernan. He's got redemption. He's absolutely no pressure. And in fact, because of the pit stops, Jackalacco finds himself on the podium for Ferrari here in Italy. And if he can hang on to this for the next 13 laps, that will be absolutely sensational. Rick as well in P5, not far off. If they can both go forward, they're both showing good promise, good pace in this race. We could see a double Ferrari podium. Could we see a Ferrari win? Kiernan and Corey both look absolutely monstrous. But hey, we never, ever know. Never count anyone out in this absolutely incredible sport. So yeah, those on the back 3, they're going to be on fresh softs to the end, maybe, of this race. Possibly. They're probably counting on another safety car, maybe. As Womax comes into the pit lane, that promotes Ghost and James into P7 and 8 after their pit stops. They're going to want to go forward. They're the head of the fresh tyre runners. They've only got those on the warm mediums ahead of them. So James and Ghost, look out for them to absolutely start their way through the field. As those in front of them, their tyres sort of drop off. This has become a battle of the pit lane, really, hasn't it? Because the strategy could play massive factors, that who come into the safety car when, who did what. And James Recrow and Ghost both have shown incredible pace so far in this race. They've definitely given Koru a run for his money, despite being on the hard tyres. James actually put up a great defence for a couple of laps. before the inevitable happened and the inevitable struck. Now they're on equal tyres. In fact, they're on better tyres because those in front of them, 7 laps worn, they're going to hit that cliff 7 laps prior to those behind them. They might even need another pit stop. Speed probably won't. Speed could probably do the rest of the another race on that set of tyres, as we've known to come and love from Speed. There should be safety car in this lap then, as we've got the entirety of the grid with us so far. Be prepared for a very hectic restart for this Italian Grand Prix. 15 laps in, 4 retirements. Very crucial championship stakes because Rick and MX, both with Davila not racing, could see themselves into the lead of the championship. And for Rick, racing Tier 2 for the first half of last season, to lead the championship in his first full season of Tier 1 racing would be absolutely incredible. And if he just gets himself in front of MX, he can certainly have a go at doing that today. 15 of 27, the safety car coming in for the second time. Kiernan, for the second time, is going to be leading them around the final corner and on to the green flag running. I hope you all buckled up because there's going to be a chaotic start. Is Koru going to get the launch he needs? Weaving around left to right, warming up those tyres, making sure they're prime and optimal in terms of heat. So they're nice and grippy, nice and sticky to the road surface. Kiernan absolutely parking it, making sure he's got full jurisdiction of this restart through the Alberta Curve, and he's absolutely punched it. Corey once again getting all sorts of squirrely. Jack Alacco now going to run side by side but onto the pit straight, not quite green flag running just yet, and now we go green. Kiernan leads Jack Alacco in the Ferrari around the outside of turn 1. Corey going to give him a fight all the way through, side by side, just sticking his front wing, and he's going to absolutely send it under the brakes, somehow gets it stopped and retains P2. Jack Alacco going to try and fight him. MX looking up the inside, Rick unable to make forward progress. Ghost and James, how are they looking? Unfortunately no moves for them, but they're definitely eyeing one up. Koru absolutely sending it under brakes in order to keep that P2 position so far. Kiernan leads 1.4, and once again a poor restart costing Koru in this race. James McCrow, just look at how many cars there are. Good 4, 5, 6 cars all in one train, separated by virtually nothing when you think about it. Koru trying his best to hang on from the prancing horse behind him, who's going to be absolutely charging for P2. Rick as well, just going to try and get past MX as soon as he can. No DRS, of course. This is Speed on the back of the Ferrari, though. Not going to be wanting to go backwards. He's going to focus on going forward. Ghost, with his experience, with his racecraft, he knows he needs to work with James at this stage in the race. They need to work together. They do not want to lose more time than they need to in getting their way through this field. 2 tenths separate Rick and Speed. Further 3 tenths separate Rick and MX. No DRS, as I say, until a couple of laps in. Should be lap 18 that we receive the drag reduction system. 5 tenths separate them as they go onto the pit straight. The slipstream for Rick is going to be a saving grace in terms of keeping Speed behind, but he's burning through a lot of his energy recovery system in order to do so. Closing on MX, not quite closing enough. Pretty much single file conga line-esque as they all sort of funnel their way through turns 1 and 2. Very orderly fashion, very nice, keeping it nice and clean is what we like to see. 11 laps of this race remaining so far. Has been a very hectic Italian Grand Prix. Pretty much a dominant display from Kiernan. Corey pretty much settled into second place for the majority of this. And has established himself as number 2. Rick, despite being P13, I believe it was at the start of this race, now fighting in P5, has a chance for a podium. And Ghost on the back of his main rival on those mediums of James McCrow. Koru has managed to open the gap to Jack Alacco to 1.3. He's not going to be vulnerable from a DRS attack for the time being, but they've got to look out because Ghost and James both on the charge. Speaking of which, Ghost getting himself ahead of the Alpine down this old straight where we saw the banking as he go through. It's not Silverstone, it's another classic track, and side by side go Rick with Jack Alacco. In fact, MX getting himself ahead. Is Rick going to swap positions with the 2 Ferraris, the 2 prancing horses side by side here at Monza? Great stuff. Rick going to back out of it though. MX back on to the podium. There's 2 places between himself and Rick. DRS enabled then the drag reduction system. Extra 20 kph. Jack Alacco going defensive, tucked up in the slipstream of MX. Here comes the Ferrari side by side towards turns 1 and 2. They're closing on the Alfa Romeo. Jack Alacco just going to say to his teammate, okay, we're fighting here. We need to work together. We've got a chance for a Ferrari podium here, Rick. Let's not throw it away. They're going to try their best to slingshot off each other, work together, whatever it might be. In fact, speaking of slingshotting towards the front, Corey 1.1 off the race lead, soon to be in that crucial DRS detection point of 1 second. And we've got a good 4, 5, 6 cars separated by 0.2 of a second, 2 blinks of an eye between these cars, practically pushing each other through these corners, whilst also travelling at a good 150 average speed around Monza. 75% of this lap is taken at full throttle. Speed on the back of Jack Lacko. He's got that drag reduction system down this old straight. LB becomes our 5th retirement of the day. Is that going to prompt a safety car? Hopefully not. And we can stay green because we do not want to disrupt this action one bit. Rick on the back of MX. Jack Lacko on the back of Rick. They're going to work together. They're going to try their best to sort of mug MX off here, to put it in simple terms. They need a good exit off of the Alberta Curve. Not the best run from Rick. He gets a bit swamped, but is it all a case of using that backwards momentum down this pit straight? MX without the benefit of the drag reduction system. Rick with the full benefit of that drag reduction system. Speed alcoholic as well, practically pushing the red car down the pit straight. To the right hand side, is Jack Lacko going to go for a move on his teammate? No, he's just going to simply defend from Speed alcoholic. He's going to absolutely send it around the outside, side by side through turn 2. Who's going to get it by the drive off the corner? It's going to be Jack, who retains the position for the time being. Rick, a bit of a mistake. Speed now going to run side by side with the number 54 through Curva Grande and towards the De La Rocha chicane. And in towards, who's going to be braver under brakes? Is going to be the Red Bull, but the Ferrari going to fight it all the way through up the inside of turn of the second part of the De La Rocha. This time Speed gets the drive and Ghost going to look up the inside. Indeed he is through the Lesmo chicane, and oh no, he's tapped the rear right and he's sent into the barrier. Bit of a tap to the wall, and is there damage to that AlphaTauri? It remains to be seen. Is he going to come into the pit lane? That is such a shame because he was on an absolute mission to the front of this field. Here comes Rick though to get that Ferrari back on the podium and into P3 in towards the Irish chicane. Great stuff from Rick. That was going to be left vulnerable from MX, who's going to try and fight it back with the DRS down the pit straight towards the Rettifidio chicane. This fight for the podium, absolutely thrilling. Here comes the 2 Alpines. James Recrow on much fresher tyres. In fact, equal tyres to his teammate. Sales pass, no second thoughts, no hesitation. Gets himself into P7, still there. We fight, we look back to the fight for the podium. Rick already white-lunged, does not want to give this position up. MX using all of his ERS left in the battery. To the left-hand side, sails past the Ferrari back onto the podium. It wasn't very long-lived for Rick in terms of Ferrari podium, but he's baited MX. He said, MX, hey, I'm in front of you. MX is like, no, you don't. I'm going to try and fight a way through. Wasted all of his ERS and has now fallen into that trap. A bit of a spin further back. Is that Scott Womack? Someone's gone off. Indeed it was. It was Scott going off through turns 1 and 2. Had to take to the runoff area in order to escape that. So yeah, Rick versus MX, 75-25 in terms of the ERS deployment available to them. The extra 160 brake horsepower for the pair of them through the second Lesmo for the Ferrari. They've got their Red Bull for company though. Alpha versus Ferrari versus Red Bull. The Red Bull got a great drive. Now going to run side by side with Rick towards the Ascari chicane. Rick fighting with DRS and ERS. They're closing on MX, who's in fact going to turn a defense into an offense. Goes up the inside, slightly off the track for Rick though, but he keeps the position, sends it under brakes. Great stuff in order to turn that into an offensive maneuver. But MX going to come straight back at him down this straight towards the Alberta Curve. Rick going to have the benefit of the DRS. 8 laps to go, or 7 laps to go, as we're pretty much crossing the line. Bit of a snap for the Alberta Curve once again for Rick. That's going to invite Speed to go up the inside, and now going to be side by side, pretty much parallel down the pit straight. The Ferrari on the left, the Red Bull on the right. The Ferrari, the benefit of the slipstream, now going to try and edge his way ahead. We've seen how good Speed is under brakes though. MX having to go defensive from the Ferrari, who tries to put the car to the left hand side. MX playing it on the cautious side though. This fight for P3 absolutely exhilarating. And now Ghost up into 10th. He's on the charge towards the front once more. 7 laps to go. Not quite going to be what he wanted, I don't think. He's going to be fairly disappointed with the overall result, but considering where he was, MX already low. Look at that blinking red light indicating to Rick, to Speed, to Jack, to Tyr. He's low on ERS, he's vulnerable. So watch out MX, because you've got a charging bull and you've got a prancing horse. In fact, you've got 2 prancing horses right behind you, and the charging Red Bull, who's going to be looking at that red light and absolutely gunning for it down through under the old banking towards the Ascari chicane. Rick sails past under brakes. Should be a pretty plain sailing move ahead before the braking zone, but remember, he's going to be susceptible to a counter attack, as he always is, lap after lap after lap. In fact, he might not be, because Speed putting that pressure on the Alfa Romeo does not want to lose the benefit of the DRS detection point, which is in about 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1 now. This exit, ever crucial, where Rick struggles. Probably the most important part to be quick if you want to retain a position. MX struggling in terms of ERS. He's not going to close as quick of a pace as everyone else is, but he's still good enough to pull to the right hand side. Speed going to try and follow that open gap. Are they going to be 3 abreast? And now Speed going to go up the inside of Rick as well. Speed with a great opportunistic move. The Ferrari fights back through turn 2. Bit of a scrum on the exit though, that could cost him as Speed and MX dart off into the distance, and Speed managing to just follow him through, using that gap that he opened up. And James Crow, for some reason, has had to come into the pit lane for some soft compound tyres. So for those that come in and looked good to challenge their way towards the front of the field, something's happened and they've had to come in. Well, Ghost hasn't had to come in, but James certainly has. And onto the softs to the end. So he's probably going to get the fastest lap if he can push for it, because he's got the pace to. Showed some good promise in qualifying second place. Yeah, not going to be what he wanted out of this race. This is Speed closing on MX. He's going to the left-hand side, trying to defend, bringing it back to the right. That leaves the space on the inside for Speed to go for it. Sends MX slightly deep. And Koru slowly chipping away, but he's used up a lot of ERS in doing so. Now, the fight for P3 still raging on. Rick as well, involved in the mix. Is he going to thread the needle through the pair of them? 3 abreast towards the Alberta Curve. The Red Bull on the outside backs out of it, and Rick through the middle, now around the outside of that Alfa Romeo. Jackalaco getting in the mix as well. There's 4 cars for P3, now all fighting for third down this pit straight. Rick without the benefit of the DRS. I don't think either of them have got it, so MX is just sitting duck down the straight. Rick to the left hand side by side go Jackalaco with Speed in towards turn 1. Speed going to try it around the outside of turns 1 and 2. The Alfa Romeo leaves him the space. The Red Bull sends it up the inside. Who's going to get the better drive off the corner? So far it's MX, pretty even between the two, though, side by side with Bluey and Tier for P7 and 8. This is all kicking off in the span of about 3 seconds. There's a good 5 cars in the space of a good 10 metres as MX can't mount the challenge in towards the De La Rocha. So Rick, for the time being, keeps that third place for Ferrari. MX completely swamped off the De La Rocha, tried to get the move done, but Speed had to back off, unfortunately, in order to not run into the back of him. Great stuff. You do not want to be missing this. The whole 3 people watching. It's a pleasure to have you. Speed with a great run off the second. Lesmo now going to run to the right hand side, the long way round of the Ascari chicane. MX to the left. Rick going to give him the slipstream just to keep him ahead for the time being, because he knows that MX is going to be more of a moving chicane than a driving force in order to get past, because of his low ERS situation. 4 laps left of the Italian Grand Prix. We still do not know who's going to win, nor who is going to get themselves on the podium. Look, everyone from 3rd down to 9th, separated by less than a second. It could be anyone's game. And while, yes, we've had 5 DNFs of the 18 drivers that joined us, quality over quantity. MX in the slipstream, in the DRS. He hasn't quite got the extra 160 brake horsepower to help him, but he's still closing at a rate of knots. So too is Jackalaco on the charging Red Bull to the right hand side. Neither of them brave enough to go for the move on this particular occasion, but every little helps. They're just chipping away, playing the mental game, showing their nose, maybe trying to bait them into a mistake, but the pressure is high, the stakes are high, especially for Rick and Jack here in Monza. Keenan still leads though. He's been, to be fair to Koru, he's been piling the pressure on. Unfortunately hasn't been able to do it to the full extent that he would want to because of his ERS. Bit of contact as Bluey goes around the outside of Ghost through turns 4 and 5, sorry. So Ghost, he's still in this, he's still got the chance, he's got fresh air tyres, should be better than Bluey's. He just needs to try and cut his way through as effectively as possible. He's managed to claw back after that spin. Speed closing in on MX. Still similar story. Here's Ghost going to go for the move on Bluey and towards the Ascari chicane. Bluey says you can go for it, but it's not quite going to work if you stick your nose in. Sorry about that, but hey, 1/10 between Speed and MX. Rick sort of sailed off into the distance. He's hoping that these two fight, sort of feed MX to the Sharks and then sail off into the distance himself. MX on a compromised line for the Alberta Curve. Could allow Speed to get the good run, get the straighter exit with DRS, with slipstream, with the abundance of ERS he's got. Rick though, bit of a scram off the exit of that corner, could be susceptible from attack from MX, who's going to absolutely sail past the left hand side. So too probably is Speed, and Rick's been absolutely mugged. In fact, Speed going to dummy to the inside. Is he late enough on the brakes to go for it? Had a little look, Rick gave him the space, Jackalacco also having to settle in. Rick once again sideways off of turn 2. That's going to allow Speed to send one to the inside. Is Rick going to keep his foot in all the way around the outside of Curve Grande? Quickly turn into the inside of turns 4 and 5. The De La Roja chicane is going to look back up the inside thanks to the slipstream of MX in front. Stays in front for P4. Is Speed going to go for it? Is Jackalacco going to set up the switcheroo and go for the movement towards the first of the two Lesmos? No. But this is all kicking off. Lap 25 of 27, 2.5 laps left of the Italian Grand Prix. And we've got an exhilarating fight for third. I really haven't had a moment to breathe. DRS for Speed and for Rick. To the right hand side goes the Ferrari, getting himself back on to the podium. Speed trying to mount that pressure as well. Back into third for Rick. Is it going to be long-lived though? That is the question, because he's going to get swallowed up down that pit straight once again. Just look at how many cars there are. Everyone down to Womack's 3rd to 10th in a nice straight train. Ghost to the right hand side, maybe of the McLaren. Jacko sending it under brakes on the back of Speed. Rick trying his best to keep his teammate in the mix, trying to help him in getting himself up the grid. Koru in within DRS range of Kiernan as well, with 2 laps left to go. Speed to the left hand side. They're going to be 3 abreast. The Ferrari, the Alfa, the Red Bull in towards turn 1. Look at that shot, and Speed sends it around the outside. Goes slightly off the track though. He's bottled it. He's over the grass. Could lose a couple of positions here. Indeed he is. MX keeps P3. Rick into 4th. Jacko into 5th, and Speed tries it around the outside, goes off the track, and from 3rd to 8th in the span of 2 corners for the Red Bull. That is such a shame, such a poor way for his podium fight to end, but it's not over yet. He's just got a lot of cars to get through in order to get there. Jackalacco with 3 seconds. That's going to promote Bluey to 5th. Only a couple of cars for Blue, and he could get himself on the podium. We never ever know. Koru and Kiernan fighting on the final lap. 8 tenths between the 2 race leaders. They've been at it for the entire stint, just haven't been close enough in order to go for a battle. Bluey trying to eye up a move on Jackalacco. Those softs going to be absolutely knackered at this stage. Maybe they've got a little bit of life left in them to fight for that podium. Bluey's going to want it. Ghost as well. Redemption for his spin. MX going defensive to Rick. 1 lap left to go. 11 corners in this race. And we still don't know who's going to win. We don't know who's going to get this podium. Is it going to be the Ferrari? Is it going to be the Ferrari powered car, or is it going to be someone else? Now, 3 cars, 2 Ferraris and 1 Alfa fighting on the pit straight on the final lap. Rick to the inside. Jackalacco going to go around the outside of the pair of them. Now the 2 Ferraris side by side for the final podium place on the final lap. Jackalacco going to try it around the outside though. Rick claims the corner, and 3 and 4 for the 2 Ferraris. MX absolutely mugged in that affair. And Speed trying to get the drive off the corner. 1.4 separate the 2 race leaders. Now Jackalacco is going to come back at his teammates side by side through Curve Grande as they now go running. Rick trying to defend, trying to put that pressure on. Jacko trying to make that car as wide as possible as they go through the De La Roja for the final time. Rick's going to have one more opportunity, and that's towards Ascari. He needs to use absolutely everything in that battery left in order to mount that challenge. It's going to be one of the Ferraris probably. Remember, Jackalacco has got that penalty, but it's on track pride. He's going to try and do it. Rick, he knows he doesn't need to fight too hard for this. Ghost going to try and go for the move on Bluey to the right hand side. It's going to be a very tough ask into Ascari. He might have to back out of it though. Speed as well, looking to the inside, going to absolutely send one bit of contact between the Red Bull and the AlphaTauri. And through all of that, Kiernan wins the Italian Grand Prix. An absolutely dominant race for him. Koru in P2, great race, and well, in front of the Italian audience, a 3-4 on track for Ferrari. Of course, Jackalacco's penalty going to set him back a little bit, and Rick is going to take the lead of the championship, and he comes home P3 for Ferrari at the Italian Grand Prix. Bluey 5th with MX 4th, and Jackalacco sent down to P7 at the end of it. But a great race, great points for all of these drivers as well. An intense battle for P3. Couldn't really take our eyes off it for any moment whatsoever. Just waiting for Scott through the final corner to finish P12. Nice 8 points to his name as he takes the fastest lap on his way to doing so as well. So he's going to take a nice hefty 9 points for McLaren, the Season 3 Sprint Championship winner. I'm saying P12 and Blue. He takes the driver of the day. I'd say that's pretty fair, though I'd like to give it, personally, commentators' gift to Rick. Fell off at the start, absolutely charged back. A very hard fought podium as well. Kiernan and Koru cannot take anything away from them as well. Great fight at the start between the Mercedes and Red Bull, and don't forget the Alpine of James McCrow as well before it sort of went sour for him, and very deserved. Top 3, I would say, and after 27 laps it was the Mercedes of Kiernan on the top, set from 4th on the grid. Koru in P2 from pole with a 3-second penalty. Did try to mount a challenge towards the end, just didn't quite have enough in order to go for it. Rick in the red car at Monza, the Flying Dutchman, P3 and the lead of the championship for the first time in Tier 1. MX close behind him, P4 from 12th on the grid. Damage limitation for him after his penalty in qualifying. Bluey 15th to 5th, his best race so far of the season, brings it home in P5 for McLaren. Speed Alcoholic P6 with Jack Lacko P7. Ghost in P8 with Wumax P9. Zuba then rounds off the top 10. Good result for him in the AlphaTauri. Tier P11, Scott P12. James McCrow coming home P13. Not the race he'd have wanted from second on the grid. Definitely could have had a chance for at least a podium. And the DNFs, LB, Aces, Taylor, Emiliano and Motti Perez. The Italian Grand Prix then, ladies and gentlemen. It was a stellar one, and I'll see you in a week's time. I've been Zach Sweeney. This has been APPF1. The championship battle as close as ever. Have a stellar evening, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.